It seems like only yesterday that I was complaining about January not ending, but suddenly we are in June and half of the year has already gone by. But today I'm going to talk to you about my 5-star reads of the year so far. I found 4 books which I loved with all my heart and I'm going to share it with you guys. I will go through these books chronologically. So the first book of the year that I really enjoyed was Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle. This is a story about 8 female boxers competing in the Daughters of America tournament. Now, first of all, I'm not a sports fiction reader, so I went into this book with a lot of skepticism because I assumed for some reason that these books will be a blow for blow narration of the action going on in the ring, like she punched him and then he punched her, and so on and so forth. But obviously, I was mistaken. I would even go on to say that sports takes a backseat in this novel because the main plot is about the psychological and inner workings of the people in the ring. Like what kind of traumas they have been through, what kind of past haunts them, and what has exactly led them to this point in life, and whether those past and those traumas will be able to fuel them towards the win or if they will crumble under pressure. The author gives us the most raw and unfiltered versions of these characters to us, and it almost feels like we have creeped into their brains and we are trying to understand this person from the inside out. These characters were built in such an impressive manner because at times I felt like the plot was going in a random direction which didn't need to go, but then I understood this person more because of that pointless endeavor. And yeah, these characters will probably stay with me for a long time because of that. The way this book is written is unique and very experimental because we are always weaving in and out of people's past, present, and also future. There is not a linear manner of novel writing, it is always going back and forth. I will read you a little excerpt that will help you understand what I'm talking about. This is page 23. Both Artemis and Andy have broken their fists loads of times, but Artemis's fists have been broken a dozen more times than Andy's. And though Artemis doesn't know it now, this additional dozen number of finger breakings has already pushed the fragility that is her human hand over the bridge and into the realm of permanently damaged. When Artemis is 60, she won't be able to hold a cup of tea. So you see, we are seeing the repercussions of the current actions in the future, where she can't even hold a cup of tea because of her boxing career. It goes on. Artemis will be at home, alone, her husband long dead from something, and her hands will be so spoiled that it will be hard for her to open the refrigerator door. No one in her life at that point, including her daughter, will have any remembrance of the meaning attached to what it means to be a boxer. So you see, we are learning about these characters not only through their present but through their future and their past as well, meaning we know this character completely. Now from that excerpt, I think you also understood that there is a clear commentary about the lack of women's representation in sports, how you could ruin your entire body trying to be a boxer, but ultimately it might be fruitless. Women also work so hard to get to the top, but the space at the top is so limited that no amount of hard work really gets you a career out of sports. Now the author also creates a very competitive environment in the novel through very subtle hints and writing. The author subtly compares these boxers through very, very small details, and that is how humans are. We are a competitive breed. I will read you another excerpt that will help you understand what I'm talking about. This is from page 18. It goes, Artemis Victor had the archetype of a ponytail. She had so much brown hair it barely fit in one rubber band. When she wasn't fighting, she wore it either on the side or in a big bun on top of her head. Even up, it was still long enough to brush against his shoulders. Andy Taylor's hair was so thin that when she braided the whole of it, the braid was as small as her index finger. When her hair got wet, it felt slimy. So you see, even the hair is being compared of these two girls. We as humans, we do that. We compare ourselves to others in every single arena and it becomes almost like a competition. So it shows that we are constantly competing with other people, whether or not we are in the boxing ring or outside of it. This book is more about the human nature and the competitiveness that we have, and not just about some female boxers fighting in a ring. And I will say, I am biased towards a very good last page, and if I see a last page that is out of this world, blowing me away, a big twist, then I will give that book 5 stars straight away. And that is what happened with this book, because that last page just was so amazing. I could not have given it any less than 5 stars. It was originally going to be like a 3.5 or 4 stars, but then that last page just tied it all together and it just made sense. This book was nominated for both the Booker and the Pulitzer, but sadly did not win any of them. Either way, I love this book with all my heart. Moving on to the next book, this is The Details by E.R. Janberg. This is a short book that packs a punch. This book is also a character-driven story, so you can understand which kind of books I like. This is a story about a narrator who is reminiscing about 4 of her relationships which left a deep impact on her. And these relationships are not necessarily romantic relationships, these are friendships and all other kinds of relationships. Let me first start by telling you the significance of the title, because that is one of the reasons I loved this book so much. When you get to really know a person down to the smallest of details, inside and out, you will know everything about them, from their smallest habits to their nervous tick, even a touch. Everything you will have memorized. You just inhale that person at that point, so much so that you will start seeing reflections of that person in other people you meet afterwards, or even in yourself. You will have borrowed some of their habits and even copying some of the things that they did, and you just can't go back to the person you were before you met them, because you are now a completely different person. Now I know this might seem like a very common thought that we have from day to day, but the finesse and the rawness with which E.R. Janberg portrays these feelings, it just stuck with me. This book is so intimate and evocative that you will feel like you have known these characters all your life. You have probably known a Joanna or an Alejandro in your own life. I myself have been a Joanna at some point, because I don't know when to give up. There is a passage that said that Joanna did not like not finishing a book, and that is me. I do not DNF books. And I felt like attacked on a random Tuesday. Seeing myself on these pages felt like both a relief and a panic, because the author just knew me without ever have known me. And that is the beauty of this book. I will share with you one of my favorite passages from this book. I have that passage highlighted because it's so beautiful. Let me read it to you. I was attracted to it. I inhaled it. I let myself be impregnated by her way of speaking and being. I adapted, made my own version of it, let her change me forever. That's all there is to the self, or the so-called self. Traces of the people we rub up against. I loved Joanna's words and gestures and let them become part of me, intentionally or not. I suppose that is at the core of every relationship, and the reason that in some sense no relationship ever ends. And that is the most powerful thing I have ever read. It just hit me. So go read this book right now. I promise you, you will love it. Especially if you're a literary fiction kind of person, just go read it. It's so beautiful. Now, what do I say about this next book? It is A Psalm for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. I'll just say, if you're feeling hopeless, this is all the hope you'll need in your life. This story is about a tea monk called Dex, and they go from place to place in their mobile home, prescribing people teas based on how they are feeling. Now Dex feels a little purposeless and confused in their life, because no matter what they achieve in life, they just never feel fulfilled. And then suddenly one day a robot walks in. Now I'll have to give you a little backstory about the robot situation. I consider this novel to be a post-apocalyptic utopian novel where humans have learned their lesson after the warnings of global warming. In the meantime, robots also existed. They invented robots, they were working for the humans, and then suddenly they gained sentience and they said, we don't want to work here anymore. We will leave this place, be on our way, and we will never bother you again. But we just want to stay separate and not work for you. And humans were okay with that, and they let them go. And now robots live in a completely segregated area, and they have not been in touch with the humans for many years. And so meeting this robot was a shock for Dex, because they have not seen robots probably in their entire lifetime. This robot, their name is Moscap, and they have been sent to the humans by the other robots to ask them, what do humans need? And that is a question that bugs Dex, and they fall down this big rabbit hole. They start spiraling about where they have reached in life and what exactly it is that they are seeking for, and what is their purpose in the life. Moscap is one of the best characters I have ever seen written. Possibly my favorite character ever. I love reading books told from children's perspective, because they have this innocence about them that really makes me question, Like, where did I go wrong? How did I become this complicated person who does not have that innocent strain anymore? But Moscap is also mature in a way because they always give you the right answers. Moscap is like a little sage, and I felt so relieved after reading this book because Moscap always knew what to say, saying all the right things at the right times. But that question, what do humans need, sends Rex down a very reflective journey, both subjectively and objectively, and that is what this book is about. If you're currently feeling lost in life, I'll suggest you read this book right away because it gives you such good food for thought, and it'll make you realize that this life is for you and you only, and you just don't have to give in to societal pressures or norms, and you can just live for yourself without any purpose. And additionally, this novella is very atmospheric, so you'll feel like you have been transported to this utopian world. So just go read it. Now, my most recent and the latest 5-star read is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, and oh my goodness, this is such a beautiful book. This has so many important themes and such an array of complex characters. I loved it through and through, and I will now be recommending this book to everyone. But can I just say, this font size is criminal. Because what do you mean? I was straining my eyes to read it. Please, publishers, do better, like give me a proper size font, or else I'll just lose my sight trying to read good books. Well, it was a good book, but still I don't want to lose my sight over it. Anyway, now let me talk to you about the book. This story takes place in a remote sub-Antarctic island called Shearwater, which is inspired by the real-life Macquarie Island. This island is located somewhere between New Zealand and Antarctica, and it is considered a World Heritage Site. Now, the setting itself gives you an idea about some of the themes, which will be climate change and wildlife preservation. The premise of the story is that a mysterious woman washes up ashore Shearwater, and no one else lives on this island but a family of 4 people, a single dad, Dominic, and his 3 children, Orly, Raph, and Fen. Dominic is responsible for taking care of something called the seed vault, where the flora of the entire world is being preserved in the form of seeds. And then this woman just washes up in this island, but the twist is no one can just randomly wash up here because the island is in the middle of nowhere, and if you were not heading for this island, there is not a possibility of you just washing up here. And this mystery just kept me hooked throughout, and everyone in the story is hiding something from the other that we never get to find out until the very end, which is why this book is such a good mystery as well. These characters are also so well fleshed out. Everyone has their secrets and everyone has a different personality, which was very interesting to read about. Dominic is currently struggling with the loss of his wife, who was supposed to be here and take care of all of their children, and they were supposed to do the whole good cop bad cop situation, but now she is gone, and now Dominic has to be both a father and a mother. But he is also being haunted by the fact that death is always around the corner, and the children are also suffering because of that. And they are also living in this remote island that is so far removed from the human world where other humans live that they feel like when they have to go back, they just can't reintegrate themselves back in, and they have to go back because the snow caps are melting and the water levels are rising and Shearwater is no longer safe. Rowan is the woman who washes up, and she also has a big character arc, which is probably the most impressive in the story, but I won't give it away because it will be a big spoiler for you. And as I said, global warming is a big theme in this book because the snow caps are melting and we have to preserve these flora so that they don't die out and we can rebuild our entire biodiversity. There is also this theme of ecofeminism, and ecofeminism is something that I love with all of my heart. So I love this book for that reason as well. This book shows that Mother Nature is now exacting revenge on humans because humans have always been so selfish and taken from Mother Nature throughout, and she can just tolerate for so long. Now Mother Nature is angry and she is destroying everything in her way, and now what do humans do? There are also a lot of dualities in this book which I really liked, because there is always this life and death dance going on, because you never know if you'll die or you'll live. So what do you do at that moment? Do you become extremely pessimistic and you think, well, the world's going to end tomorrow, so I don't really feel like doing anything? Or are you going to retain that optimism and be like, I will live twice as much, I'll make the most of this time, which really makes you think about the world, and as it is coming to an end, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take action, or are you just going to sit back and watch? This was an extremely powerful novel, and the ending moved me to tears, and as I said, I'm biased towards a good ending, so yeah, a 5-star read. These were my 5-star reads of the year so far. Let me know what were yours in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.